right. So today we're going to do a deep dive into something, you know, pretty crucial. I think the future of UK-EU relations.
Right.
But we're not talking about like trade deals,
Yeah.
or all the political back and forth.
Yeah.
We're zeroing in on the people who are actually going to be living in that future, young people. This report, it's part of the British Council's Stronger Together program. And they realized, back during Brexit, that young people kind of got left out of the conversation.
Yeah, they were really sidelined.
Totally. And they wanted to change that. Can you imagine this? Only 5% of young people in the UK felt like politicians were actually listening to their views on Brexit.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's like such a huge issue, and they felt totally unheard.
Absolutely. And the interesting thing is they're not just passively waiting to see what happens.
Right.
Over 120 UK youth organizations, along with some EU partners, actually got together to create a report called Stronger Together.
Wow.
And it's totally packed with recommendations for how to improve UK-EU relations, specifically for youth.
I love that energy. So what are they actually suggesting?
Well, they've kind of boiled it down to 4 key recommendations.
Okay.
First, they want to see the UK get back into the Erasmus Plus program, which is all about learning mobility.
Okay.
Second, they're calling for more opportunities for cultural exchange.
Makes sense.
To build understanding.
Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Totally. So what about the other 2?
All right. So third, they want young people to have an actual say in shaping those UK-EU relations, not just be talked about.
Right.
And then finally, they recommend creating a UK-EU network of youth organizations to connect everyone who's working on these goals.
So 4 solid recommendations.
Definitely.
Let's unpack them.
Let's do it.
One by one, starting with that Erasmus Plus thing.
Okay.
What's the big deal with that?
So Erasmus Plus, it's this European Union program that funds opportunities for young people to study, train volunteer abroad in other EU countries.
Got it.
Before Brexit, UK students could participate.
Right.
But not anymore.
I know. Some people hear that and they're like, oh, isn't that just for students studying abroad?
Right. They think it's just a bunch of kids going off to party in another country.
Yeah. Haha. It's so much more than that.
Way more.
So this is about getting the UK back in.
Exactly.
But why is that so important?
Well, think about it. It's way more than just having fun abroad.
Right.
The report highlights how these experiences can actually be life-changing. One participant even said, it had a really significant impact on what I felt was available to me. I was the first generation in my family who could go and work and live abroad.
Wow, that's amazing. It really expands horizons. Opens up opportunities.
Opportunities that, they might not have had otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. And it shouldn't just be for like the privileged few, right?
That's a great point. And the report really emphasizes that. They want to see a focus on making sure these opportunities are accessible to young people from all different backgrounds.
Right.
It's about inclusivity.
That makes a lot of sense, but the UK has added the EU now.
Right.
So wouldn't getting back into Erasmus Plus be kind of a political headache?
Yeah, it could be. There might be some tricky negotiations involved.
Yeah.
But they believe that the benefits for young people are worth pushing for.
They're worth it.
Yeah.
So it's not just about Erasmus Plus, though, right?
Yeah.
They also talk about bolstering these existing UK programs like Turing and TAFE.
Exactly.
Which also fund international experiences. So Turing is more about work and study placements worldwide.
Yeah, and TAFE is specifically for learning and development in Wales.
Got it.
The report sees these as important complements to Erasmus Plus, especially in the short term.
So it's like a multi-pronged approach.
Exactly.
Making sure that UK youth have as many chances as possible
Absolutely.
to gain these valuable international experiences.
It's about maximizing opportunities.
Right.
And making sure no one is left behind, no matter what their background or circumstances are.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to the second recommendation, which is all about fostering cultural exchange and mutual understanding.
Right.
Now I'm curious, what does that look like in practice? I mean, we're talking about building bridges between young people in the UK and the EU.
Absolutely.
But haven't things been a bit strained since Brexit?
Well, yeah, there's no denying that. The report even talks about how Brexit has fueled some division and even misinformation. But that's exactly why they see cultural exchange as being so crucial.
Right. So it's like that saying, familiarity breeds, well, maybe not contempt, but at least understanding.
Exactly. And, this recommendation, it goes beyond just like formal programs.
Okay.
It's about encouraging all kinds of interactions.
Like what?
Like cultural events, youth exchanges, even just like online platforms where young people can just connect, organically.
Right, right. It's like, I remember that time I went to a music festival in Germany before Brexit.
Yeah.
And I barely spoke any German.
Uh-huh.
But we bonded over the music and the terrible camping food.
Right.
It's amazing what shared experiences can do.
It is. And, those experiences, they really help to break down stereotypes and build empathy.
Yeah.
There's this great quote in the report from a young person who says, it feels like a really important time for young people to experience differences. Reaching out to each other is more important than ever.
Yeah, that's a good point. But it's not just about like throwing young people together, is it?
Right.
I mean, this report also mentioned something about critical thinking.
Yes.
And media literacy.
They see those as essential skills.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world. Young people need to be able to navigate all this information, figure out what's true, what's not true, and engage in constructive dialogue even when they disagree.
So it's about equipping them to have those conversations.
Exactly.
Not just shying away from them.
Right. And that requires a shift in thinking, not just among policymakers,
Yeah.
but also educators, youth workers, even parents.
It takes a village.
It does.
Yeah.
We need to recognize that these skills are vital for navigating this world that's getting more and more complex.
Okay, so on to recommendation number 3.
Okay.
Giving young people a real say in shaping UK-EU relations. I mean, it's a nice sentiment.
Yeah.
But how do you actually make that happen?
Well, this is where the report gets really specific.
Okay.
They're not just talking about listening to young people. They're actually proposing concrete mechanisms to make sure their voices are heard.
So what are they talking about?
Well, one idea is a UK-EU youth sounding board that would advise policymakers directly on issues that affect young people.
Gotcha.
They also call for more youth representation in existing dialogue structures.
So putting young people in the room where decisions are being made.
Exactly. And it's not just about the numbers.
Yeah.
It's about making sure those young representatives really reflect the diversity of the UK and the EU youth populations.
That makes sense. But wouldn't it be hard to find young people who are informed enough to actually participate in these discussions?
Well, the report addresses that too.
Okay.
They talk about the need for investment in citizenship education and training programs to equip young people with the knowledge and skills that they need to engage effectively.
So it's about empowering them
Absolutely.
to actually participate.
To be active participants, not just passive observers.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that young people aren't just the leaders of tomorrow. They have the potential to lead today.
Yeah.
And they have a right to be involved in the decisions that are going to directly shape their futures.
Right. So speaking of shaping the future, let's move on to the 4th and final recommendation.
Okay.
Building a network of youth organizations across the UK and the EU. What's the thinking behind that?
Well, it starts with recognizing that there are already so many amazing organizations doing such great work in this space.
Yeah.
But they often operate in silos,
Good.
which limits their impact.
So this network is about connecting the dots,
Yeah.
amplifying their collective voice.
Exactly. It would allow organizations to share knowledge resources, best practices, even funding opportunities.
Right.
Imagine the potential there.
Yeah. For collaboration and innovation. It's
Right.
like working smarter, not harder. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a quote in the report that says, awareness and network opportunities need to be strengthened. People are also doing the same things. Need more joined up working, realizing we all have the same aim.
Right. It really highlights that need for communication and coordination.
Exactly.
But wouldn't managing a network like this be a total logistical nightmare?
Well, it would definitely require careful planning and coordination.
Especially because we're talking about organizations across 2 separate entities.
Yeah, but the report suggests leveraging existing networks and partnerships to build upon what's already there.
So building bridges between bridges.
Yeah, exactly.
What would be the ultimate goal of this network?
Well, it's about more than just making things easier for the organizations themselves.
Right.
It's about creating a more supportive and vibrant ecosystem for young people across the UK and the EU.
And that's where I think this report gets really interesting. It's not just about fixing problems or dwelling on the past.
Right.
It's about building something new and positive for the future.
Exactly. It's a vision of a future where young people are empowered, they're connected, and they're actively shaping their own destinies despite all the challenges of Brexit.
I love that.
Yeah.
But realistically,
Yeah.
what are the chances of this actually happening?
Well, that's a question we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll take a look at the potential challenges and opportunities in actually bringing these recommendations to life.
Well, sounds good. So we'll be right back after a quick break
Okay.
to hear your thoughts on all of this.
Yeah.
What stands out to you?
Mm-hmm.
What are your hopes and dreams for the future of UK-EU youth relations? All right, so welcome back. We really dug into this Stronger Together report,
Yeah.
exploring those 4 key recommendations for improving UK-EU relations for young people.
Absolutely.
Now, we want to shift gears a bit and hear from you
Right. What resonated most with you?
out of all of that.
We covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
getting back into Erasmus.
Boosting cultural exchange,
Mm-hmm. Giving youth a voice in policy.
creating a whole network of organizations.
Yeah.
What really stood out.
Think about your own experiences. Have you ever, participated in a youth exchange program?
Or benefited from some kind of cross-cultural initiative.
What did you learn? Did it, change your perspective in any way?
Or maybe you've even seen firsthand the challenges that young people face when it comes to making their voices heard,
Yeah,
navigating a world that can feel increasingly divided.
right. What are your hopes for the future?
I think these conversations are so crucial for actually turning these recommendations into reality. It's not just about governments and organizations.
Absolutely.
It's about each of us playing a role in fostering connections and understanding.
And I think the Stronger Together report, it's not just a document.
Yeah,
It's a call to action.
it is.
It reminds us that even with all the political complexities, we can still shape a future where collaboration and understanding win out.
Yeah. So what are you going to do to answer that call?
Exactly.
It could be something as simple as reaching out to someone from a different background
Mm-hmm.
or supporting a local youth organization.
Yeah.
Or maybe even get involved in advocacy efforts,
Yeah.
pushing for policies that empower young people and promote cross-cultural understanding.
Absolutely.
But I think the key takeaway here is that building stronger relations between young people in the UK and the EU,
Yeah.
it's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And it's a journey we can all take together.
I love that. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the Stronger Together report.
Yeah, we hope this conversation has kind of sparked something in you,
Yeah.
given you some new ideas, and maybe even empowered you to take action.
A brighter future for young people in the UK and the EU is definitely within reach.
It is.
And it starts with each one of us.
Thanks for listening, everybody.